10 to 5 means we have hardly so 1 hour, 1.5 hour maximum. Again, if any meeting, that is another bar. Okay, so we anyway started recording, guys. Record is started, so we'll see. So last part we're discussing about a ROM and then it is a BIOS, right? What is BIOS? Basic input output system. Okay, it is a firmware which is in your BIOS, your ROM chip. Okay, so when you start your computer, system perform a operation called a post operation or a test, post test, like a power on self test. Okay, so BIOS recognize your hardware devices when your system is power on, and BIOS help you to load operating system and tells where is operating system location and priorities. And also we discuss about a what is boot processing and a step-by-step boot processing. Okay. And next we did not completed two things. One is what is BIOS settings and how to go to BIOS settings, CMOS battery. Okay. Because I explained about a boot processing, again diversion to that back to this one is difficult. That's why I cut there. Guys, this is the BIOS settings. What is a BIOS setting? So you can go to this. I can show you in my virtual machine also, but it's okay. You know, different computers having a different type of BIOS settings screen.
When I am installing the
What is this?
window, sir, when I install the
Yes,
window in C, then I definitely show this. This is a BIOS system. Huh?
very good. Good, good. So you have taken a fresh system, no operating system, nothing at all. Obviously, for first time you don't have any operating system. You turn on your computer, the BIOS screen is shows like, do you want to go to boot priorities? First of all, do you want to load operating system from CD-ROM or a pen drive? Okay,
Yes, sir.
so you have to select the boot priorities. That time we are going to choose it. Even not only that time, so going to BIOS settings also important while you are working with a system. Okay, here it is. Depends upon your BIOS chip. BIOS manufacturer chips are different from to another one. So like here it is. It's a AMI BIOS. AMI BIOS. It is American Megatrend Inc. The company name is American Megatrend Inc. AMI BIOS. This is Phoenix BIOS. This is Phoenix BIOS setting screen. This is AMI BIOS chip. This is Phoenix BIOS screen. Like this. Dell BIOS is there. This is MSI motherboard BIOS chipset it is. Okay, you can see graphically. This is showing BIOS utility, but we don't know what BIOS chip it is. Okay, so this is also ARDWARD, AWARD, ARDWARD BIOS related. So depends upon the BIOS manufacturer and version and your system. Okay, so you can see these options, location of options are there. What is in the BIOS? BIOS contains information about your hardware. First of all, it contains the information about your hardware, about your hard disk connection, CD-ROM connection, floppy disk connection, date and time running, your memory, extended memory kind of stuff, means how much RAM you are put it, your RAM related details, CPU related details, and this is a UEFI related details, CPU configuration, ID means your hard disk configurations and other hard drive, hard, hardware configurations. Like this, you can see this is a good example. Clear it is showing about what is your CPU and your cache memories, what is your hard disk, which hard disk is connected here, Okay, what is your RAM? Okay, so this is good picture actually. If you find any good picture, we'll add it. Yeah, it is very small picture. Try. Why this is picture I like it? Why? Because you can see here it is, guys. You can see what is your CPU, and also you can see the cache memories also you can able to see, and you can able to see your fixed hard disk, and your RAM, and your RAM related information. No, 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 no. Okay, so RAM date and time, BIOS versions. So okay, so it will understand. So what is the use of these BIOS settings? So one part. Second one is in a BIOS, it will shows hardware features, CPU features, or some hardware related features are there. So we can enable certain features. You can see Intel virtualization technology, it is a CPU feature. We can enable it. So it will show us enable disable options. So you can go to that disable option, then you can find enable disable. You can enable the virtualization feature.
So what does virtualization do?
So if you enable this virtualization feature, so you can able to create multiple virtual machines. Like you can run a virtual machine, 64-bit virtual machines in your PC.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I'm running a virtual machines, right? Have you seen my virtual machines? Right, here it is, VMware. I will show you. This is a Windows 10 machine, but I want to show you differently. Like I will show you my Linux machine. Maybe you will like it. That's this is a Linux machine. This is a Windows Server machine, and Windows 10 machine is there, and this is VMware vSphere DevOps related. Like I installed some DevOps application in Windows 10, Windows 2003 server, Windows XP server, sorry, Windows XP 2003 server, 2012 server. Like I created a multiple virtual machines, my single PC. Okay, so why? Because of the virtualization technology is enabled. So if you go to Task Manager, Performance, CPU, you can see it is virtualization enabled. Virtualization enabled. It is showing enabled because of in my BIOS I enabled virtualization technology. In BIOS I enabled virtualization technology. If I don't enable there, it won't be enabled here. If this virtualization not enabled, I cannot create and run 64-bit virtual machines. So I use it for so many days back. See, my base machine is Windows 10 Home Edition, and my virtual machine is Linux machine. So without going to create new machine, without purchasing new machine, I am running some different operating system. So it is the Linux machine. It's a Linux machine. Same Here I have a XP machine. XP machine. I can run XP machine. I'm running. I can run Windows XP 2003 server. Okay. 2012 server is there. Like a different type of operating systems or similar type of operating system, like 2 Linux machines required for one practical. So I'm using that one. See, these two are a Linux machine. This is also another Linux machine. First machine, second machine. This is like a server. This is like a client. I want to use it. So I don't need to purchase multiple computers to do that one. What I will do, because I have a virtualization technology, so using a VMware workstation, using this VMware workstation software, it is an application. Using this VMware workstation application, I created a virtual machines. In the virtual machine, I installed a operating system and I start using that machines directly. Even this is the Oracle VM VirtualBox, also same thing. In Oracle Virtual VM Box is an application. You can create a virtual machines inside, like a Linux machines, Windows machines, okay, Windows Server machines. You can able to install any machine. You can do it. Recently, Sai sir asked me about a DevOps related Docker explanation. So I want to practice. I install a Linux machine. Inside, I install a Docker application inside. Okay. So this application also I am using Oracle VM VirtualBox. Using this, I am also creating virtual machines. Okay. So you can create Windows based, Linux based, Unix. Solaris means Unix based, IBM, Mac OS kind of stuff. You can able to create the different machines. Important is you have to create a virtual machine and we need an operating system download. So you have to download an operating system, then it is. Okay, understand point. So how it is possible? Because of in BIOS you have to enable virtualization technology. Okay, so guys, again, what is the content in the BIOS settings? The BIOS contains information about your CPU, RAM, hard disk, means your hardware information, and it gather information. It is means it recognize hardware devices. What are that hardware devices are connected? It recognize here, and we can enable and disable the features, or we can change certain settings, hardware settings using BIOS. Okay, and in a BIOS also it stores. It runs the date and time. BIOS runs date and time. This date and time is temporary. Temporary means it's running, right? It is not fixed data. It is continuously changing data. When system is on, the date and time is continuously running. And your BIOS settings, you are enabling, disabling these settings, you are changing. You are not changing this CPU mismatch detection. You are not changing this sentence. You are changing enable to disable or disable to enable. Okay. The settings you are done, the date and time, and there
Okay.
is a BIOS
Hello.
passwords also there. I will show you that.
Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
Hello.
Tell me, I can hear you.
Sir, your voice are not audible, sir.
Voice is not clear. Okay, we'll see. So here it is. Can you able to hear now? Otherwise, I will once you can't disconnect. If you disconnect, then it is big problem. So here it is.
Sir, you are.
So maybe network related issue. Okay, this is a BIOS passwords. The BIOS passwords. Why we need to put a password for a BIOS? Why we need to put a password to the BIOS? Maybe like why we need a password for protection, right? Why we need a password? Why we need a password for protection? As I said, in a BIOS, we can enable, disable the features. We can see the hardware component details. Okay, we can disable USB ports, kind of stuff. Possibility is there, right? So to protect your BIOS, by someone will come to your computer, they change your BIOS settings, like hardware properties, hardware settings. They may change it. Possibility is there. So what you will do, you are putting a password. There is a two-type password, user password and supervisory password. If you put a password for a supervisory password, means a person knows supervisory password, he can change the BIOS settings. A person knows user password, he cannot, with user password, he cannot change BIOS settings. With user password, you cannot change the BIOS setting, but you can see the BIOS settings. Supervisory password, supervisor password, you can see the settings and you can change the settings. Okay, password on boot, it means you start your computer. If you give BIOS password, then only boot processing will continue. Boot processing will continue if you give BIOS password. That is called a password on boot. Okay, so this is also stores in BIOS temporarily. Okay, so guys, these are the main settings. Like the first one is boot related, bootable, boot priority list, security means, so your password for BIOS settings, entering into BIOS settings, configuration of BIOS settings like enabling, disabling, or configuring certain BIOS settings. You know, some computers only we can install only one kind of operating system on it. Even I have seen some computers only we can install that computer laptop only Windows Vista. Certain thing is like only Windows Vista Home Edition only. We cannot install any other operating system. Okay, Windows Vista only we can able to install, not a 7, not a with a different version. Why? Because in a BIOS, it is also recognizing like if this version of operating system accept, otherwise no. In my PC also, it is like a Windows 8. It locked to Windows 8, but it is upgrading and it is changed to other. You want to change, you can change from Windows 8 to other or Windows 95 to other. Some settings are there. Okay, so again in a BIOS there is a settings, so like we can able to enable, disable certain features, or we can change certain properties in the BIOS settings. BIOS gather the information of your hardware devices on board, motherboard devices. Directly it is there connected to motherboard like a hard disk, CPU, RAM, graphic cards. If in case graphic cards are there, it gather that information. And BIOS run date and time. Okay guys, this is about your BIOS. So the point is, next point, while I'm going to this point, so I will tell here, look at this BIOS passwords, changing of settings from previous settings to the next setting. You are changing some settings, date and times. This data is temporary data. It means it runs in your BIOS. Okay, the BIOS keep saving this data. The main internal data is a constant data is there. Like you can see the background, what is the word, sentences, enable, disable kind of stuff. Everything is in your BIOS only. but only the settings, like date and time settings, password settings, whatever you change the configurations are in a temporary mode. As long as your system having a power, as long as system is getting a power, that these settings will be alive. These all things will be alive. Once you shut down your computer, power supply will be disconnected to your BIOS chip and automatically all these things will be lost. Means your date and time, your password settings, everything is resetted to factory default. Best example is the featured phones. If you know, the small mobile phones are there, no future mobile phones. Now we are using a smart mobiles. Earlier days we are using Nokia 1100, 2200 kind of stuff, 2600 models, featured phones. So when you open this mobile battery, if you open the mobile battery and reinsert the battery, your recent call data means missed calls, dialed calls, missed calls, dialed calls, received calls, and date and time. The settings you have changed. Everything set it to factory default. Okay. Similarly, you shut down your computer. Whatever you are changed by your settings, the date and time, and passwords you set, everything is go to factory default. Now, how to continue this date and time running, how to keep your settings alive, how to keep your password. So it's very simple. Use the battery. This battery will give supply to your BIOS chip, means your ROM chip, continuously. So even you are shut down your computer, these settings won't go to factory default. This you don't lose this data. Means your setting enable disable settings, or you are giving your passwords to the BIOS, or date and time running won't gone. It keep alive. Okay. So this battery is lithium battery. This battery is lithium battery. It's a 3 volts lithium battery. This battery also called as CMOS battery. Okay. It is also called as CMOS battery or a BIOS battery, because on your motherboard, so you have a battery which supporting to your BIOS chip. That's why it is called as a BIOS battery or a CMOS battery. There is small confusion people will feel in a two confusions are there. The first confusion is lot of people believes the battery is made up of CMOS technology. Guys, battery is a lithium battery, 3 volts lithium battery, not made up of CMOS technology. The battery voltage and current means the total power is giving enough power supply to the CMOS chip. Your BIOS is manufactured with a CMOS technology. Not only BIOS, your CPU, RAM, and all these chipsets basically built based on a CMOS technology only. Okay, chip is a CMOS chip. Battery is lithium battery. Okay, CMOS means complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Original name is, it is a MOSFET. MOSFET, MOSFET. Metal oxide semiconductor field effective transistor. It is a transistor technology. Our chips contains the transistors. The transistors made up of CMOS. In CMOS, two CMOS are there. Sorry. In MOSFETs, two type of MOSFETs are there. PMOS, NMOS. P, N, two are there. P channel, N channel MOSFETs are there. Combination of P channel and N channel, it is become CMOS, complementary. P channel plus N channel becomes one single chip, one single transistor condition. So it is called a complementary metal oxide semiconductor. So there is originally no CMOS. PMOS plus NMOS becomes CMOS. Okay. Yeah, don't worry. I'm not going to, no one will ask that question, guys. Just want to know it. So no, don't go with the misconceptions. But you can't go to the shop and ask, I want a lithium battery. So you won't understand what lithium battery you wanted. Okay. You have to ask, like a CMOS battery, I need it. Or a BIOS battery, I need it. Okay. So the BIOS batteries look like this one. If in case your BIOS battery is done, means the charge in the BIOS battery works up to 3 to 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. Also, it will run. Okay, so you'll get a CMOS checksum error. Just put it in a Google. What is CMOS checksum error? CMOS checksum error or a CMOS checksum bad. Date and time not set. Press F1 to run the setup, or F2 to load the default values and continue. So why we are getting this kind of issues? Okay, or anywhere you can try. Okay, why we'll get this kind of issues? We'll see. The CMOS battery support to run your date and time and settings continuously. If anyone remove the battery and reinsert the battery, if anyone remove the battery and reinsert the battery, that settings means everything will be go to factory default, means date and time, the settings, okay, everything got, your passwords will be removed, everything go to factory default. Another hand, your CMOS battery power is run away, means completed, no power inside, or very less power. It become weak. So the settings won't store there. It will keep resetting itself. Then also you will get this kind of error. CMOS battery. So in this case, what you do? Better to go to change once, go to F1, change BIOS settings as per your requirement. And if in case you are getting again, you change once, but you are getting again, we are getting same error, daily you are getting same error. What you do? Go to market, purchase one CMOS battery, otherwise take out this battery, show that shop person, computer shop person, he'll give you a battery, so install the battery. Next time you won't get that error. If you are getting their error again and again, even you change the battery, there is a problem with your CMOS, means your BIOS. Okay, BIOS problem, BIOS chipset problem, okay, not a battery problem. But initially, it is if you are getting daily, even though you change the settings once, but you are getting same after restart, you are getting the same problem. So what is the thing? After you shut down and start the computer, you are getting this problem again. What to do? Change the battery. So I said two misconception. One is lot of people think this battery made up of CMOS technology. It is a battery is lithium battery, and BIOS chip is a CMOS made up of CMOS technology. That's why we call it as CMOS battery. Not made up of CMOS technology. The battery is not made up of CMOS technology. That's it. Okay. It is the chip. It actually made up of CMOS technology. Your BIOS chip. Yeah, one more conception I said now. Yeah, some people give some types of idea. The smart people are there. So they are much educated than us. And sometimes that is reverse. Okay, guys. Okay. So we listen to that people only. So that's the problem. So what is this CMOS battery? Okay, guys, BIOS, BIOS passwords. So for example, I have put a password to my computer. I have a computer, I have a user and password is there. I start my computer, computer is booted. Now I got a login screen. So there is a username and I select a user and I given a password. I log into my computer. So that is a regular process. Now I forget my password, or I keep my laptop in my home. So someone is trying to check my password, or someone is want to like this. Like for example, I don't have a little brother. I have cousins only, but some people will get an idea. Like I got a computer, so it's my brother's or someone's computer. I unable to log in because of I don't know the user password. The operating system user I know, but password I don't know. Ask my friend. My friend is more intelligent than me generally. Okay, in generally, he is a very intelligent person. He said, "No problem. You can open the cabinet, and there is a BIOS battery. Remove the battery and reinsert the battery. The password will go." Even it is a lot of people don't know. Lot of people don't teach us. This is a very secret. I am sharing to you. If you remove this battery and reinsert the battery, the password will be reset. What he said, it is absolutely correct. But which password it will be reset? BIOS password, not operating system password. If you remove the battery, the BIOS settings will be gone. If you remove the battery, BIOS settings will be gone along with the password settings, BIOS password setting, hardware BIOS password settings. It does not remove the BIOS battery removing and reinserting. It does not remove your operating system related username and passwords. Okay, so there is no relationship between your operating system password to BIOS password. If that much easy, everybody will do it. Okay, so that is another misconception. Yeah, I said we can go to BIOS settings. How to go to BIOS setting, guys? Very simple. You have to know how to go to BIOS setting, because there is no BIOS dedicated key is not there. Olden days, it is a Dell. Very olden days, it's a blindly Dell button. So how to go to? You have to start your computer. You press the power button and immediately start pressing Dell button that time. So BIOS key. So you can watch certain videos if you want to go to that one. So in generally, so when you are start a computer like this, it shows on the screen what is your BIOS key. See, it is F2 setup, F12 for boot menu. Okay, F2 setup, F12 boot menu. Like that. On the system, it may show you how to go to BIOS settings. Sometimes not. Why sometimes not? Means depends upon a computer boot time, how much time. It is very old computer, it is very easily. See, F2 to setup, F12 to boot menu. Okay, if you press the power button and immediately press the F2 button. Sometimes not. Sometimes you have to use Del button. Sometimes you have to, most of the time you have to, guys, most of the time you have to Del or F2. Sometimes some computers, some BIOS versions use F10. Some are F12, F11, F9. Okay. Mostly Dell, F2 also there. Escape is also there. Okay. So when you press the power button, immediately you can notify either bottom of the screen or a top of the screen. Sometimes it shows the bottom of the screen. It is Dell to enter the setup. It is Dell to enter the setup. This is F2 to enter the setup. This is F2 to enter the setup. Okay. So sometimes it will show differently. Like this is F1 for system information, F2 system diagnosis, F9 boot device options, F10 BIOS setup, F11 system recovery. Enter to continue startup. Okay. So so try like this. Okay. So different things. Some are F2, some are F10, some are F12, some are F9, some are escape, some are Dell. So you have to find based on what laptop or what desktop you are using. So based on your operating system, your computer, whatever it is, so you can go to your BIOS settings. BIOS or UEFI, That is also difference is there. Some computers means like usually laptops, you have to use the combination key like a function. Keyboards are there, laptops having a function button, function plus BIOS key you have to press. Okay, for example, I have to go to BIOS settings, I have to press the function button. First, I shut down my computer, press the power button and function button plus F1. Both are I am keeping separately. I can check date and time. I will put this password. I will change boot priorities. Okay, enable disabling some hardware features, for example, virtualization technology. What I will want to do it, I will do it. Finally, I press F10 to save and exit. Okay, so there is exit menu is there now. That is exit. This part exit. If you go to exit, so you will find save and exit. Exit. Okay, of course I've written here. BIOS password is different from OS password. You can check some configuration like a CPU, RAM, hard disk, SSD, kind of direct configurations. You can do it when you go to BIOS settings. Yeah. So luckily we got some screens here to see the BIOS settings. Let's understand what is the BIOS settings. Anything? Use of BIOS settings, what we can able to do with the BIOS settings. What is use of BIOS battery? Completely I'm muted or what? Can you able to see my screen? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, there's two more things are there, mainly like a motherboard. Next one is SMPS. Okay, then hard disk. Okay, just a hard disk, up to hard disk, and a partition kind of stuff is also there. So we'll see first of all about a motherboard, then we'll see the timing. I spend a lot of time on BIOS, but it's okay, no problem. Gets worthable because it's completely new for some people. Okay. Motherboard is nothing but a main PCB kind of stuff. Everything you have a computer means every component of a computer will connected to motherboard only. Motherboard direct connection, like on motherboard there is a chipsets. Next, on motherboard we connect directly CPU, RAM, your graphic cards, the power supplies we are connecting. And from motherboard we connect hard disk, CD-ROMs, floppy disk, front panel connection like a power on buttons, power on LEDs, USB connections, back panel connections. What are the back panel connections? Look at here, keyboard, mouse, serial port, parallel port, COM port means communication port, VGA port. COM port means communication port, RS-232, serial port. These three names are same. Serial port, COM port, RS-232. All are same only. 9-pin connector. This is parallel port, means LTP port, parallel port, same. VGA port means you connect a regular monitor. Our monitor we are connecting to VGA port. USB to mouse means you will connect a mouse connector, and another one is keyboard connector. In a old days, now also some people are using, but still. And you will get a LAN port, USB ports, audio jackets like a mic, speakers we are getting here. Guys, these are the front panel connections, sorry, back panel connection, their names and how it is look like. LAN port, serial port, it's a monitor, USB, and back panel connectors. And HDMI, the recent motherboards also having a direct HDMI motherboards. This is one of the recent motherboards, how it is look like. You can go to Google or Amazon, you can search different. So guys, you can see these are the RAM slots. So how you can able to insert the RAM slots. This is the old motherboard. That's why it is having so many components. Clearly we can able to see. Now everything is enhanced into lesser space. Okay. So what is the use of this motherboard? Everything is connected, including power, and power is also distributed to the components through motherboard only. Like your keyboard or anything, we are connecting to it. On motherboard, we connect devices, and we connect internal devices and back panel devices through motherboard only. Motherboard only. That is just what is motherboard. You can see different type of motherboard slots, and the connectors. Next one is SMPS, switch mode power supply. Switch mode power supply. I didn't draw anything here. Maybe I draw something to here. Bottom. See, there is a main power supply, guys. Main power supply is a 220 volts. 220 volts AC power supply, 50 Hz frequency AC power supply, main power supply. That is connected to your SMPS. SMPS converts AC to DC power supply. SMPS convert AC power supply to DC power supply. It converts AC to DC. In a DC, different voltages we are getting. Plus 12 volts, minus 12 volts, plus 5 volts, minus 5 volts, plus 3.3 volts. Generally, I have written all the plus and minus volts. You may not see minus 5 volts here, but there is a plus 12 volts, minus 12 volts, plus 5 volts, 3.3 volts guarantee. Minus 5 volts is not showing here, but I have written minus 5 also. As a old way, I have written, but this is the different voltages we are getting from SMPS because of the devices we are using on the motherboard. We require a power supply in a different levels. And SMPS available in these SMPS available in different wattages. When you purchase SMPS based on your motherboard and based on your processor and the components you are connecting to motherboard, you have to calculate the total wattage consumption. Based on that, we have to decide which wattage of SMPS is better. Okay, is a 400 watts, 500 watts, or 550, 600, 1 kV. Which type of SMPS is better? Okay. So it does not mean higher is a better kind of stuff. Only it is like your total computer required 400 watts. So you can purchase 450 or 500, not 1 kV, 2 kV kind of stuff. So you require 300, you will choose 400. You require 500, you choose 600 or 650 is also okay. Okay, not required very higher than that one. Okay, another in SMPS also we have a connection type is there, depends upon your motherboard connection. It is AT or ATX and other different models also there. ATX is a earlier days 20 pin, now it is 24 pin ATX connection. Plus on motherboard we use a 4 pin earlier for a CPU separate power supply. 4 pin connector is there. Now we are changed it to 6 pin or 8 pin also there. So depends upon your motherboard, AT, ATX, and additional connection, either it is 4 pin or a 6 pin or 8 pin. Based on that, you have to choose SMPS, and of course, based on your wattage requirement, you have to choose your SMPS. What is SMPS? Switch mode power supply. it will we connect our main supply to SMPS. SMPS convert our main AC power supply 220 volts 50 hertz frequency AC supply to DC, and different DC voltages we are getting from SMPS. You can see that SMPS main motherboard power connection in this picture, okay, with the different colors. Each color indicates the voltage. For example, red color means plus 5 volts. Yellow color means plus 12 volts. Okay. Orange color means plus 3.3 volts. The green color represent power on, means the power switch is connected to that green wire only through our front panel to motherboard kind of stuff is there. Of course, that is a very old ways to tell how to troubleshoot SMPS and all. Okay, so these are the major component motherboard. What is the motherboard? What are the things on a motherboard? AGP slot, PCS slots, front panel connection, back panel connections, north bridge, south bridge, RAM slot, CPU slots. Okay, power connection, kind of stuff. Okay, hard disk connection like IDE ports, SATA ports, that kind of stuff is there in the motherboard. So one important thing about that is important in a motherboard. Connections, back panel connection is also very important. SMPS, what is the use of? Okay, so there is a hard disk related. If you have a okay, so can I stop here and give you 5 minutes break and continue with the storage devices?
Okay, sir.
You guys take a 5 minutes break.